Hi, I'm Derek. I'm a nice and funny guy. I'm very kind, but I never thought my kindness might play a cruel trick on me one day. Before I tell you my story, just a little warning. Or a spoiler. Never trust strangers. You hear me? You want to know what happened to me? Then make sure you watch this story to the end. Here we go. Well, I'm in my second year of high school. I play football, and I'm planning to enter college on a sports scholarship. I have a mom and dad and many friends. Anyway, I enjoy my life. I can even say I'm happy. Unlike many guys, I wasn't even particularly bothered by the fact I never had a girlfriend. Dates and other nonsense took a lot of time, and I was always busy with trainings, games, competitions, studies. I was always too busy for a relationship. Of course, I did not lack girls' attention. Even while I was training, I saw some girls in the stands waving and throwing me flirty smiles, but none of them hooked me. One day after training, me and my friends decided to go to the store. We wanted to buy all this delicious junk food and soda. Then we were about to go to Kevin's place and play video games. There was a weekend ahead, so I could forget about school. There were a few people in the supermarket, so our noisy company terribly irritated everyone. A store employee made a remark to us, so the guys had to leave. As I looked like the smartest and most reasonable guy, my friends gave me the money and the shopping cart with the food to pay for that all. There were huge lines at the cashier, so I prepared for a long wait. That's why I took out my phone and decided to scroll the news feed on social media. A nice girl about my age got in line behind me. When I noticed she only had a can of Coke in her hand, I let her go ahead of me. My cart was full of stuff, and it would take me a long time to pay at the desk. At first, the girl was very surprised. Perhaps she kind of did not expect anyone would talk to her. Then she blushed. She almost dropped her can of Coke. She was about to say something, but she just nodded and stood in front of me instead. Of course, I liked her. I think she also found me handsome, but this was the first time I had seen such a reaction to myself. I smiled at her and turned back to my phone, waiting for my turn in line. When I was walking out of the store, I saw my pals who were too tired of waiting for me and were eager to start our online competitions. When we were sharing the numerous bags of food, I noticed the same girl looking in our direction. I wanted to smile at her again, but when she caught my eye, she immediately ran away. Even then, it seemed a little strange to me. And if you think this was just a strange girl and nothing special about this, you're wrong. This was not the last time I met her. But later, I totally forgot about her. My life just went on. I went to school, I had some trainings, I hung out with my friends. One day, when I was warming up before a game, I thought I saw a familiar face in the stands. It was the girl from the store. I don't know why I remembered her appearance at all. She didn't seem to stand out in anything special. When I looked back at the podium, she was gone. I decided it was just my imagination, so I continued to warm up. And we had a very important game this season. But unfortunately, we lost. Me and the guys were so upset. We even gave up on our tradition of hanging out together somewhere after the game. We all just went home. I must have been so lost in my own thoughts that I didn't immediately notice what had happened. Someone suddenly jumped up to me, put her arms around my neck, and kissed me. All this happened in a second. I didn't even have time to understand anything. I only smelled the sharp smell of perfume and heard someone's surprised sigh next to me. The intruder of my peace of mind and my personal space pulled away from me, and I noticed it was the same girl I met a couple of weeks ago in the supermarket. She put her arms around my neck again. Before I could say anything and push her away, the girl whispered she was being chased by a maniac who had been following her for a long time. She really needed my help. She asked me to pretend to be her boyfriend and walk her home. Of course, I wanted to refuse immediately and tell her to deal with her own problems herself, but I saw the tears in her eyes and her trembling lips, so I could not resist. I looked around, noticing that many passers-by were looking at us. Of course, a kissing couple in the middle of the street definitely attracted some attention. I tried to figure out who the maniac was, but at first I didn't see anyone like him. Then I noticed a scowling guy next to the cafe who was looking in our direction with angry eyes. I realized the girl didn't make up this story, so I hugged her and then took her hand. We went together to the bus stop. The girl introduced herself. Her name was Annie. She was a first-year student at the art college, which was just next to our school. Annie never stopped thanking me for helping her. She only tightened her grip on my hand every time I tried to take it away. I understood the girl was very scared. I suggested we go to the police and report the stalker, but she refused, saying she did not want to disturb her parents, who would probably be scared too if they learned their daughter was in danger. We went to her house together. I walked her all the way to the gate. I was about to go home, but Annie asked me for my phone number in case she suddenly needed my help again. My inner voice told me to tell her some wrong number, but my kindness was stronger. What if no one could help Annie at the right time and something terrible would happen? We exchanged phone numbers and I headed home, hoping this was the first and last time I'd be involved in such an adventure, ever. But it was not there. I immediately thought Annie's college and my school were close and then we would meet more often, but not so much. I started noticing this girl in a cafe where we often had lunch with my friends, in a bookstore that was not far from the bus stop, even in the stadium stands during my training. I can't say it scared me, but it definitely bothered me. I didn't understand why Annie was following me all the time and what she was trying to achieve with this. One day after training, she came up to me again. Fortunately, this time she did not attack me with kisses. She simply took my hand and said, "Hey, honey." The guys from the team who were beside me almost opened their mouths in surprise. They probably already imagined I was hiding my girlfriend from them and did not want to introduce her to anyone, but I hardly knew her myself. The girl said she missed me and was happy that today I would be able to walk her home again. I wanted to be outraged because I had some plans. Actually, I wanted to refuse her as I had been preparing for an important test the night before. I really needed some sleep, but when I saw the tears in her eyes again, I couldn't refuse. After saying goodbye to my friends, I went to see her off. She was talking nonstop, but I hardly listened to her. She was talking about her studies, her hobbies, what kind of lunch she had at school today, and that none of her friends believed she had a boyfriend. The last one interested me. If she had a boyfriend, then why was it me who was walking her home instead of him? When I asked this question to Annie, she looked at me like I was crazy. Then she said I was her boyfriend. And that's where I didn't get it. We kind of agreed I was alone. Well, I just walked her home twice, pretending to be her boyfriend, so that the stalker didn't dare approach her. So why was she suddenly telling her friends about me? No wonder they didn't believe her. I was not her boyfriend. That's what I told Annie. The girl was surprised at first, then upset, and then angry. When she was in this state, I looked a little intimidating. We reached her house almost in silence. I said goodbye and ran towards my house. I promised myself I would never contact Annie again. If she asked for my help again, I would take her straight to the police. But the girl clearly had totally different plans for me. Before, I had noticed her in the same places where I was, and she immediately hid. Now she looked back at me without looking away. She constantly texted me some stupid messages. She told me about herself and about her day, describing almost every minute of it. It was so annoying. She was waiting for me at the stadium gate after my trainings. But if she saw me walking with the guys, she would not approach me. She just sat silently walking behind, glancing in our direction. After a week of such harassment, I noticed I became too nervous and twitchy. I was constantly looking around. It was time to save me from a stalker maniac who turned out to be a fragile and pretty girl. I knew I had to do something about it, but I couldn't think of anything better than to tell my coach about it. He was only 5 or 6 years older than us, so I was hoping he could give me some advice, and it was a good thing to do. He didn't give me any advice, but he told me something more interesting. It turned out his girlfriend went to the same college with Annie, and she knew my stalker, just like everyone else in the college. This girl was always very strange. She could laugh for no reason or cry, or get up during the class and leave the room without telling anyone anything. But all the creative people basically have some oddities, so no one was particularly surprised by her behavior. But recently, she started telling everyone she had a cool boyfriend who was a football player. She said me, had been courting her for some time, and he constantly took care of her. All these things were about me, of course. In fact, someone overheard Annie telling someone about it on the phone. The girl saw me in the supermarket, fell in love, and decided to get me in any way. She made up a story about a maniac, played on my kindness, and eventually planned to completely tie me up to her. Of course, I didn't expect that. I decided to put an end to the situation anyway. So the next time I saw Annie at the stadium, I went up to her and told her if I ever saw her near me again, I would report about it to the police and she would be banned from approaching me by the law. The girl started crying, but this time her tears had no effect on me. I was angry and determined. Fortunately, my threats worked, and I never saw her again. Did I act too rude to her? Maybe, but I had no remorse. Who knows what was in her crazy head about me? What do you think of my story? Did I do the right thing? Or should I have taken the girl to a psychologist? Should I just try to explain to her that I just didn't like her? Write your answers in the comments. If you liked my story, click the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. There are so many cool videos waiting for you in the future. Click the bell button to always see the notifications and stay tuned. Bye bye, everyone.